why do we sometimes struggle with changing a health habit when we know it's in our best interest, we know it's the best thing to do? Why is it sometimes so hard? I'm going to suggest there's two reasons for that difficulty. Those two reasons are leverage. We don't have enough leverage on ourselves, or we have subconscious self-sabotage patterns. So let's discuss leverage. It's very easy for me to do anything that relates to better brain health and preventing Alzheimer's, because I saw my mom pass with Alzheimer's. I remember walking into the room the first time and my mom didn't know who I was. I remember how that felt in my gut. Because I remember how that felt in my gut, I don't want my kids or grandkids to have to experience that. I don't want my grandkids or kids having to take control of my money. I don't want them having to take control of my finances. But I saw that with my mom. So I'll do anything to avoid that. You see, we often move away from pain easier than we move toward the positive. And I have positive leverage too. I want to see my great grandkids jumping around on me and hanging around on me. But I'm telling you, the leverage from seeing my mom not know who I was is much more powerful. And when we have that kind of leverage on ourselves, we can change any health habit. If you still have difficulty with changing a health habit, it's due to subconscious self-sabotage patterns. In quantum neural reset therapy, we call them core drivers, which are belief patterns that as ways to explain particular stresses that we may have. And those could be things like feeling powerless or feeling unworthy or feeling unsure or unsafe. It could be negative patterns like failure, that we just automatically default to failure for some reason because of a trauma, and feeling vulnerable, or that we overprotect ourselves and so we don't let ourselves make any changes. And if that's the case, if you have leverage on yourself and you still have trouble changing a health habit, then you need to get in to see myself or somebody that does QNRT, quantum neural reset therapy, so that we can discover these subconscious self-sabotage patterns. So they're patterns that you're not even really aware of that you may have, but are causing you to automatically default and sabotage yourself by not doing that which you know is the right thing to do. So if you need to go gluten-free, for example, and it's been shown you on labs or otherwise that that's the best thing for you, and it's such a challenge because, you know, in society, everybody tends to eat gluten, although that's changing. But you have to think ahead where you're going to eat. You have to think ahead about the menu. You have to maybe ask a couple questions. You have to take a few extra steps. If you're cooking for yourself, you got to read labels more. But if you know where the outcome is of you eating gluten, and you can see that you'll have more of an autoimmune disease, and you can see that that's going to attack your thyroid, and you can see that that's going to wear you down and slow you down and cause you to have terrible joint pain and terrible brain fog and not be able to think clearly. If you buy into that, if you have leverage on yourself over that, it won't be an issue. You'll be able to change that health habit unless you have these self-sabotage patterns. So that's the two reasons that people have trouble changing a health habit. Is they don't have enough leverage on themselves. And to get leverage, you have to see the end result. and you have to see the end result in a way that you can feel it in your gut. So you got to do whatever it takes to feel that in your gut. Maybe you have to go around somebody that's in the kind of shape that you don't want to be in. Or maybe you have to see a movie or a video of somebody that's the kind of shape that you don't want to be in. But whatever, it's got to get not from just the head level, but it's got to get to the gut level. When it gets to the gut level, you will be able to make those changes and you won't have any problem with them. And in fact, after a period of time, they'll become habitual and you won't have to remind yourself about all that. You won't have to remind yourself with all of that leverage. And if for some reason you have leverage on yourself and it's still an issue, then get with somebody that does QNRT, quantum neural reset therapy, and find those self-sabotage patterns, get them cleared out of the brain, because we need our healthy habits to live the life that we know is possible for us. And that life affects our spouse, our families, our kids, our grandkids, future generations. It's so important. So do whatever it takes to help yourself have leverage. And if you have leverage and still have an issue, get with a QNRT practitioner. I'm Dr. Michael Winters, Winters Wellness, Chiropractic Redefined. Subscribe to us here on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up on this video and like us on Facebook.